We're going to solve a quadratic using factoring, and to do that, the first thing we want to do is get one side of the equation equal to 0. And when we do that, we want to try to keep that squared term positive, and we want to write the expression in standard form. Like the x squared term should come first, then the x term, then the constant. So, like any good math student, I'm going to start by first copying the problem down. It's 3x squared plus 2, I'm giving myself some space here, equals 20x minus 10. And I like to draw a little line to remind myself which side of the equation is which. And I want one side to equal 0. And I do want to keep that squared term positive. It's just a really good habit to get into. It makes the rest of the problem easier. So although there's a lot of things I can do right now that would be correct, to get one side equal to 0, I'm going to leave this 3x squared exactly where it is because it's already a positive number. And I'm going to move these terms over to the other side by adding the opposite. So 20x, to get rid of the 20x, I use a negative 20x on this side and on this side. If there were other x's over here, I would try to line them up because I will be combining like terms at some point. But since there's no other like term to go with this x, it's just kind of off in limbo. I do want to make sure everyone understands these guys here, this 3x squared and this negative 20x, they are not like terms. You could not put them together. So that's good. Good start to getting this side equal to 0, but this negative 10 will still be here, so I might add 10 to this side to get these to cancel. But of course it's an equation, so I must do the same thing to the other side as well. I will line up my like terms. It's a good practice. So these make 0, these make 0, this side is 0. Hooray, I have one side equal to 0. And this 3x squared has no friends, so it just stays 3x squared. This negative 20x has no friends, so he says negative 20x, and then these guys combine, they are buddies, they make a positive 12. I've done it. One side's equal to 0, the expression's in standard form, and the squared term is positive. So I'm ready to start my step 2, which is factoring. So we're going to try to factor 3x squared minus 20x plus 12, and when we do that, if you don't know what to do, if you're totally stuck, you're going to start by just drawing the parentheses to like give you a template of like what your brain should be thinking about. And your brain should be thinking about putting something here and here to multiply to make this. Not a lot of choices to multiply to make 3x squared. Pretty much your only option is 3x and x. That is it. The next thing we need to think about is putting a number here and a number here to multiply to get this 12. Now, before we go too far, let's say this 12 is positive. So that means that I will be using the same sign, but I'm not going to worry about what that sign is right now. I'm just going to use the same sign on both numbers. When I think about 12, all the things that might multiply to make 12, I'm thinking about maybe 1 and 12. Maybe it's 2 and 6. Maybe it's 3 and 4. I just don't know. I have to guess and I have to check. But as long as I'm guessing numbers that multiply to make 12, I'm on the right track. I do have one clue though. Because this 3 and this 20 and this 12 don't have any common factors, I will not put anything that's a multiple of 3 in with this 3. Because if these had a common factor, these would have a common factor. So when I go through and if I think about checking like 3 and 4, if I want to check this combination to get 12, I'm not even going to bother putting a 3 with this 3. It's not going to work because if these had a common factor of 3, these would have a common 3. If I'm going to try this 1 and this 12, I'm not putting the 12 with the 3 because 3 and 12 have a common factor, but these don't. So let's start off with the 3 and the 4 because usually when I think 12, the first thing I think of is 3 and 4, but the only one I need to actually check is a 4 here and a 3 here. And so far so good. First multiply to make first. These last multiply to make the last. But do the inner and outer make the middle? That's how I know if I guessed correctly. These guys make 4x. These guys multiply to make 9x. If they have the same sign, there's no way to combine those to get negative 20. So that's not right. It's not 4 and 3. I'm not going to even check 3 and 4 because that would be bad. So forget this option. Let's go with that 2 and that 6. The 6 here would be a waste of time because the common factor thing. So I'll put a 2 here and a 6 here. Outer guys multiply to make 18x. Inner guys multiply to make 2x. If these have the same sign, can they combine to make negative 20x? Yes, they can, if they're both negative. So this is going to be negative, this is going to be negative. So factored, yay, step 2, done. This expression, this expression factors into 3x minus 2 times x minus 6, and that's going to equal 0. So for step 3, find the zeros of each factor. Well, that's a way of saying, like, look at this factor, and what value of x makes that 0. Sometimes you can look at it and it's obvious. Like, what makes that 0? 6 makes that 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. This one, not so obvious. So this is why we have algebra, though. We're not going to try and guess and figure it out. We're going to use some algebra. We're going to take this expression over to the side and say, what makes 3x minus 2 equal 0? That's what I want to figure out. I want to figure out the x that makes this expression equal 0. So I'm going to use my very basic Algebra 1 skills. Reverse PEMDAS. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. That means 3x equals 2. X is not by itself yet. I'll divide both sides by 3. So my other answer will be 2/3. So the two solutions to this equation are going to be 6 and 2/3. Get one side equal to 0. Keep the square term positive. Put it in standard form. Factor, first makes first, last makes last, inner and outer make middle. And then set each factor to 0 and solve. Good luck.